The evolution of penalties in football history. A football commentator once said, "Penalty kick has only two possibilities. It either goes in or it doesn't." In 2022 World Cup final, when the winner is going to be determined by penalty shootout, an emotional Lionel Messi appeared to look up to the skies before Argentina's winning penalty. As Gonzalo Montiel stepped up with the weight of a nation on his shoulders, the world holds its breath. Messi looked up above him and appeared to say, "Puede ser hoy abu," which translates to, "It could be today, Grandma." As Montiel shot the ball past Hugo Lloris in goal, Messi fell to his knees in tears as he finally got hold of the one honor that had eluded him for so long. It is a penalty shootout that complete Messi's football career with a World Cup trophy. The penalty shot taken 12 yards from the goal line make the difference between winners and losers. It is a mind game between the taker and the goalkeeper. It can change the game or even a nation's history. Football penalties have been evolving from time to time in terms of rules and technique. Have you heard of tap penalty, Paneka, or bounce penalty? Most of them will simply blow your mind. So today, Football 8 Wonder is going to bring you into the world of penalty. Stay tuned, and after watching this video, you will see penalty in a different perspective. First, the question is, who invented penalty? The penalty kick was not exactly included when the first law of the game was introduced in 1863. Initially, the punishment for handball was an indirect free kick back in 1872, meaning that the taker had to pass the ball and was forbidden from direct shooting. And guess what? The penalty kick was the creation of an Irish goalkeeper, William McCrum. He was the goalkeeper of Milford FC, founded in 1885. After witnessed the roughness and inadequate protection given to players, McCrum advised the idea of penalty to the Irish Football Association in 1890. However, there were worries about the game's flow and lines on the pitch. Thus, McCrum's proposal was rejected. And some months later, a match between Stoke City and Notts County changed football history forever. In an FA Cup quarter-final in Nottingham, Stoke had a shot cleared off the line by a player's hand. The score should have been 1-1, but instead an indirect free kick was awarded, as was the ruling then. County massed their players on the line, and the free kick was blocked. County went on to win 1-0. They were jubilant, but the injustice was obvious to all. Consequently, a year on, McCrum's idea was given a more understanding, and his proposal was passed. The penalty kick became Law 14 of the sport, so it remains. However, it is far from the penalty kick we are familiar with nowadays. Can you imagine? At first, there was no penalty spot. The kick could be taken at any point on the 12-yard line, which is 12 yards from the goal. The takers could dribble the ball before kicking the penalty. The goalkeeper was allowed to roam up to 6 yards from his goal line. In 1892, the penalty kicker could not touch the ball again before it touched another player, prohibiting penalty taker to dribble the ball. In 1902, the penalty area was introduced with its current dimensions. The penalty spot was also introduced. All other players were required to be outside the penalty area. In 1903, all dangerous offenses and foul play within the 6-yard box were included in the rule for a penalty. Previously, it was only limited to deliberate handball. In 1905, the goalie must remain on the goal line, being permitted to move the feet along it. In 1930, the goalie could not move their feet until the penalty was taken. In 1937, the arc, the D area just outside the penalty box, was added to help the referee control the minimum distance for other non-penalty takers. In 1939, the ball would be in play once it traveled a certain distance after the penalty kick. In 1995, all other players were required to remain behind the penalty spot. In 1997, the ball would be in play soon after the penalty kick. Moreover, the goalie could move his feet and must face the kicker on penalties. In 2016, the ball would be in play once it moved in a penalty kick. Finally, in 2023, FIFA and IFAB imposed a new rule for the shot stoppers during the penalties. Following what Emiliano Martinez did in the FIFA World Cup 2022 final, football authorities are set to introduce a new rule that prevent goalkeepers from distracting opponent, including making a weird move such as spaghetti legs, dancing on the goal line, shouting and talking to the penalty taker, and mind games. Now let's look into the development of various penalty techniques. In the 1950s, the tap penalty, which included passing the ball to a teammate before shooting to score, became more well-known when Johan Cruyff adopted it in 1982 while playing for Ajax. He collaborated with Jesper Olsen to score. In 2016, in a match between Barcelona and Celta Vigo, Lionel Messi rolled the ball from the penalty spot and Luis Suarez smashed the ball in. In the 1970s, the Paneka penalty was introduced, precisely in the 1976 Euro final. The term Panenka was taken from the player who first did it, Czechoslovakia's Antonin Panenka. Yet, it was not popular until Zinedine Zidane successfully used the same technique in the 2006 FIFA World Cup final. In 2012, Andrea Pirlo did it against England, and has become one of the best-known examples of this special spot kick technique. In the same decade, Pele invented the feinting technique known as Paradinha, which included a little stop after a run-up to the penalty spot. In the mid-1990s, there is no run-up penalty, famously done by Lazio's Giuseppe Signor. In contrast, there is long run-up penalty. The definition of long run-up is more than 6 steps before kicking, and the most famous is Paul Pogba penalty versus Everton in 2018. In 1990s, Rabona penalty was introduced to the world by Paul Gascoigne, a bold and delightful shot that shocked the world. In 2010, the feinting penalty or paradinha invented by Pele was no longer allowed, provided that there need to be continuous movement toward the ball. Then there is bounce penalty. The most iconic player with this skill is Jorginho, who jumped before kicking a penalty. It is not penalty that is prohibited because Jorginho did not stop for a moment before kicking the ball. All he did was change the rhythm of the leg swing from the one that ran into the jump. Then also in 2010s there is the Ezequiel, named after Spanish player Ezequiel Calvente, switching the use of the foot, right to left or vice versa, on the last minute before the kick. Last but not least, there is the backheeled penalty. It is the least one we have seen, but it does exist in modern football. Just as penalty takers have tried different techniques to outwit the goalkeeper, so goalkeepers have come up with various ways to distract the penalty taker. As we saw in the early days, keepers such as William Folks could come off the line and use their size to intimidate the penalty taker. This was no longer possible when goalkeepers were confined to the goal line. Between 1930 and 1997, the keeper was not even allowed to move their feet before the kick was taken. Within these strict rules, Liverpool keeper Bruce Grobbelaar found a way to unnerve the penalty taker. He wobble his legs and knock his knees together. He looked absurd, but his feet stayed still on the line, within the rules. Grobbelaar's spaghetti legs became famous. It was a technique that was later copied by another Liverpool keeper, Jerzy Dudek, in the 2005 Champions League final against AC Milan. Once again, the Italian opponents were distracted, and Liverpool came out victorious in the penalty shootout. During the 2006 FIFA World Cup quarter-final between Argentina and Germany, German goalkeeper Jens Lehmann was seen looking at a piece of paper kept in his sock before each Argentina penalty kick. Lehmann saved 2 penalties with the help of the cheat sheet, thus winning the shootout for Germany. Lehmann's list became so popular in the German football history that it is now in the Haus der Geschichte Museum. The concept of a shootout, 5 penalties for each team, and continuing sudden death, has gained credibility after 1968. In 1977, the USA once experimented with a new kind of shootout adapted from ice hockey. Penalty taker stood 32 meters from the goal and was given 5 seconds to run and make any moves before shooting the ball. The goalie could attempt to move out of the goal line and close down the executor within the same period of time. It was adopted by MLS2 in its early years, from 1996 to 2000. Unfortunately, FIFA was not in favor of such an idea. Penalty is a test of courage, of character, and of the human spirit. So thanks to William McCrum, who invented one of the most exciting rules in football, and he left his mark. It's there, 12 yards out, on every football pitch on the planet, challenging players and thrilling fans alike. So don't forget to like this video, comment in the below, and subscribe our channel for more football story.